Welcome back to the Neutral Zone. Today we're going to be talking about the Oregon Ducks as we continue along with our 2024 college football preview series. As always, if you're new to the channel, before we get started, please subscribe, join our community. We talk college football every other day. During the season, we go live on Sundays, and it's always fun to engage with you guys. Please also drop a comment down below. Let us know what you guys think about our takes, as well as what's your take on the Oregon Ducks. Go back and look at our other previews as well. We've done about 10 teams so far. We're going to continue kind of the snowball effect as we continue to grow our channel with these teams. So it's always pretty fun. But as always, before we get into previewing the 2024 season, we're going to talk about the 2023 season. And my dad hit the nail right on the head. 11-1 last year. I picked 10-2. Now, this was, again, one of those videos that we did before we did the game-by-game breakdowns. But so I didn't give a game-by-game breakdown.
I was going to say, what are the game? Oh, but you were high on USC, though.
Yeah, I picked USC to win the conference. Okay. And I don't know if you did as well. You had them either losing to USC or losing to Washington.
I had Oregon going to the playoffs.
Yeah. All I know is you had them losing to either USC or Washington, and right. I had them losing to USC and Utah, I believe. I could be wrong. But you did say in the video that you didn't feel comfortable with Oregon playing USC twice, which obviously they didn't have to, but they lost to Washington both times. But I mean, you did a really good job predicting their record. Obviously, right on the head as far as the regular season goes. They lost in Vegas in the Pac-12 title game, but had a big win against Liberty. But nonetheless, they had a really good year this last year, and they're going to have a good year this year. I think they're coming into the season ranked as a number 2 team according to ESPN, with about an 11-1, 10-2 type feel, with a 37.5% chance to win the Big Ten. How do you feel about that as being an Ohio State fan?
Yeah, so I'm shocked by the number 2. And have you seen the full FPI rankings?
I have seen it, but I didn't look at it. I just look at it to go get the team I'm going to make the slideshow for. Okay. I haven't looked at it all together.
All right. No, everything else I think is spot on. I think you're talking about a team that I suspect will be in the playoffs. This is a loaded roster, bringing back or bringing in a bunch of key players. I think the 37.5% honestly might be a little low. I think.
So wait, again, just to caveat that, to add to it, they have the highest percentage to win a conference in college football, a Power 4 conference. They have the highest chance of any team.
I respect that. Again, I will tell you, obviously, I'm an Ohio State fan. I don't think that I have them winning the Big Ten. But if you told me that Ohio State didn't win the Big Ten and who is next, I would say Oregon leaps and bounds over everybody else. I think this is really a 2-team race. I think Penn State, Michigan may make some noise next year. But, yeah, I think this is a 2-team race.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
No, yeah, so getting into the roster, the part that we have to acknowledge is they lost some key players. Bo Nix over 4,500 yards last year. Bucky Irvin, their leading running back, over 1,000 yards. Troy Franklin over 1,000 yards. So it's not like they did not lose some big pieces, especially on that offense. I just think they were able to either promote within, and I mean that especially as we talk about Jordan James taking over for Bucky Irvin, or go get a player to match. And really what I'm talking about there is Dillon Gabriel, Evan Stewart, Jabir Muhammad. I think they were able to go get players to really fill any gaps they had. Or I think in the case of Jordan James, just the increased productivity, the increased carry. So he had 107 carries last year. 7.1 yards per carry, over 700 yards rushing. I think when he becomes running back 1 instead of 2, I think you're going to see that productivity. He's really going to pick up all those yards that Bucky Irvin had last year. So this is going to be a nasty team.
Yeah, I think, like you said, the loss of Bucky Irvin is going to be big. I think Jordan James is, I'm not going to say just as good because he has a different style, the 2 different style of running backs, but he was just as effective. I'll say effective is a better word to use. And with him being the number 1 guy, I think he can really be good in this offense. I think Dillon Gabriel is as good as Bo Nix is. Now, obviously, Bo Nix has had a little bit more success as far as, how can I put it? Like awards, being able to, go to the Heisman ceremony and
stuff
like that.
Let me ask you real fast. What is your thoughts on Dillon Gabriel? Really, and not as a college quarterback, because I think we both agree he's a very good college quarterback, but all the transfers. This is what, his 3rd transfer?
Yeah, so obviously he started off at UCF. I think he followed Mackenzie Milton there, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he followed Mackenzie Milton there. They went to the same high school in Hawaii in Mililani.
Yes.
I think UCF was kind of and take it with a grain of salt, was kind of the way out for Hawaii quarterbacks at that point. I mean, you had Tua Mariota, but Tua was a top tier talent. Dillon Gabriel wasn't a top tier talent. So Dillon Gabriel kind of was the easy way to just follow his big brother, so to speak, over to UCF. Obviously, Mackenzie Milton had the crazy injury to his leg. Dillon Gabriel played really well. And I think when you play really well and the transfer portal was just enacted and it was just a thing, you move over to a more talented school in Oklahoma and you kind of continue to have that success. Now, I understand why he went to Oregon, because the Mariota thing, he's from Hawaii and they're losing Bo Nix and Oregon is in a position to compete this year. But I wouldn't have minded him staying at Oklahoma and kind of finishing his legacy, so to speak, there, because I think Oklahoma's going to be a really good team as well. Obviously, they're not number 2 in the country, but I think I don't look too far into it as far as the transfer portal kind of goes.
Well, this one was weird to me. I understand transfers when you're going. So as you mentioned, going from UCF to Oklahoma, that's a big difference in stage, and I think his performance deserved that. But Oklahoma is a blue blood college football team. He was the starting quarterback. He put up very good numbers, 3,600 yards, 30 touchdowns last year. I don't know what you gain from going from Oklahoma to Oregon.
Maybe the style of play, the offense. Maybe he just felt like there was a little bit more weapons to choose from. The offense maybe fit him being able to showcase his arm talent a little bit more. And let's just be honest, I think Oregon is in a little bit better position and situation than Oklahoma is right now. Obviously, Oklahoma has a defensive-minded coach. And again, I love Brent Venables, but you have a guy like Bo Nix who just put out absurd numbers. And I think arm talent-wise, I think Dillon Gabriel has a better arm than Bo Nix is. I think Bo Nix is more mobile and a little bit more of an elusive and athletic quarterback than Gabriel, but I think Dillon Gabriel can make any throw on the field. So I think putting him in the offense with Trayshawn Holden, Tez Johnson, who were starting caliber receivers last year, then you bring over arguably a top 3 receiver in the SEC and Evan Stewart. I think that there alone shows that this offense can be one of the most explosive offenses in college football. And I think Oregon is already known for being an explosive offense. So when you add even another piece in, who Evan Stewart, by the end of the year, there could be talks of him being the best wide receiver in college football. Like he's that type of talent.
I'm going to be honest. I think Tez Johnson isn't getting the love he deserves. Again, you're talking about 1,100-yard guy, 10 touchdowns last year. Now, I think because of Troy Franklin, he didn't get as much love, but I think he is going to be wide receiver number 1 there. No knock to Evan Stewart. Evan Stewart, I think the year he came out as a recruit was the number 1 wide receiver. Definitely a 5-star guy. So I wouldn't be shocked if Evan Stewart balls out, but I think really Tez Johnson is going to break out this year.
So the only pushback I have as far as Tez Johnson is, and this is no disrespect to him because I think he's a great player, but I think him and Bo Nix's chemistry, given that they're like, they're stepbrothers or his mom adopted him or something.
Yeah.
I don't know the full story, but I know they're very close. So I think Bo Nix, kind of looks for him.
That's a good point.
It's a safety blanket. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad receiver because he could pan out, like you're saying, and be the number 1 guy. But I just think what Evan Stewart did as a true freshman at A&M and just kind of his potential, I'd be surprised if he doesn't thrive in this offense. But I think any one of those 3, Trayshawn Holden or Tez Johnson or Evan Stewart, could all be number 1s realistically. It's just depending on who gets off on that day. But I think, like I said, to circle back, I think Dillon Gabriel transferred there because it's a better situation. He has a chance to make the playoffs. I think it's a consensus that Oklahoma is not going to make the playoffs this year. Is it impossible? No, but they're probably the 6th or 7th team in the SEC. While Oregon is a number 1 or number 2 team in the Big Ten, and we're probably going to get 2 or 3 Big Ten teams. So I think that played a part. He wants to play on the biggest stage. He saw Bo Nix kind of compete for Heisman last year, almost get in the playoffs. And he probably looked at Mariota as an older brother, kind of how I said with Mackenzie Milton. So it's kind of just like second nature for him to kind of move on there. But I think my entire narrative of this team, or hidden storyline, would be, I think they had the best transfer portal class outside of Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss was the best transfer portal class, but bringing over Dillon Gabriel, who's a top 5 quarterback, bringing over Evan Stewart, top 5 wide receiver, Jabbar Muhammad, top 5 corner, Dante Moore, which is going to be quarterback of the future, former first overall.
And I'm still shocked by that. Dante Moore was a starter at UCLA, would have continued to start, could have probably transferred to a place where he's going to start. Again, maybe very mature of him to go learn behind Dillon Gabriel for a year and get in that Oregon offense. But I was shocked because he transferred to Oregon after Dylan Gabriel had already transferred.
Yeah, so I just think they're set up for success. They had a top 3 recruiting class, obviously. So Dan Lanning is, really building on what he's done last year, the last 2 years. And then he obviously turned down the Alabama coaching job. So he's, he's believing in himself, kind of betting on himself. So I do like that. Moving into our projections, you're not going to like this. I already know, but I'm going to be honest here. I'm going to be honest here, guys. Oregon is my pick to win the national championship this year. That's my pick. My pick last year was Michigan. I was correct with that. I truly feel like Oregon's going to win the national championship this year if Dylan Gabriel can stay healthy. Last year, he was banged up. We saw that. But I think Oregon can win the national championship. I have them going 12-0. You have their floor at 9-3. I said 8-4 because I think they can lose to Oregon State in the Civil War. I think they could lose to Michigan, Washington, and Ohio State. Those are the 4 teams that I could say, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they lost. Washington maybe a little because they've lost so much, but I still think that's a rivalry type game, being that it's been Pac-12 so much.
So, and that's what, I'll be honest, that's the Oregon State game is the game I forgot, with that being a rivalry. I think based off of just talent, they are so much more talented than Oregon State. So that's why I didn't have that game as one of the ones on my floor. So that would have been our one difference. Let me just to, I went back and forth with the Ohio State Oregon game. Obviously, again, I'm an Ohio State fan. I think this game can go either way. I would not be surprised if they don't play 2 or 3 times. I think they are in the top 3 teams in college football, 3-4 teams in college football next year.
That's actually crazy to think about. Like, a team can play 3 times.
3 times, yeah.
I didn't think about that. And I will say, I think this game is a real 50-50 game, maybe 49-51. And I think if the game was at Ohio State, I would favor that way.
And that's so I wanted to say exactly that. I almost picked Oregon to win the game because the game is in Oregon, the Atson Zoo, as you guys know. And one of their that's going to be the marquee game of the week. That's going to be one of their
Gotta be game day.
Gotta be game day. That's going to be one of the big games of the year, really. There's Alabama, Georgia. There's some other big games, but this is one of the games of the year. Very excited. Absolutely have to be there. But so I almost went Oregon over Ohio State. I just think Ohio State, and again, maybe it's a little homerism, has an overabundance of talent. And the thing I liked about Ohio State's talent versus Oregon's, again, no knock to Oregon's talent, is Ohio State, especially on defense. You look at that Oregon defense, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys projected to be starters this year that were not there last year. Ohio State is bringing back most of their defense. So chemistry on that defense. Obviously, they added Caleb Downs.
What are we saying right now?
Most of that defense are guys coming back. I think Oregon is going to very much be in this picture. If you asked me to pick, if you told me Ohio State splits with Oregon, I'd rather Oregon win the game at Oregon, and especially if that meant a Big Ten title for us. So I'm not going to be ridiculously upset at that game, because I think with the 12-team playoff, one loss isn't the end of a season, right? This is going to be a little bit different than years previous, where I don't think one loss completely puts you in any sort of hole. One loss for either one of these teams, they're both still good. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if this game isn't also the Big Ten championship game, and I wouldn't be surprised if this game isn't played again in the playoffs.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought because there's something funny I want to talk about before we end the video.
Okay.
But what was I gonna say? Bear with me, guys. I lost my train. I'm getting old, bro. I completely lost my train of thought. That is crazy. And I think it's because the whole time I'm thinking about something funny I wanted to say. So you remember when we went to the Clemson game, right?
The Notre Dame game.
Yeah. So
Clemson.
I was thinking about this like a week ago, maybe like 2 weeks ago. I'm gonna be a good son. I'm gonna wear Ohio State gear to that game. And
I rocked out for you.
Now, then I was gonna bring that up to you because my dad's obviously an Ohio State fan, and he was in all Clemson that game. So I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna be a good son. And I'm gonna support because I was like, what am I gonna wear? And I was like, I'm gonna wear Ohio State gear.
That's what's up. I respect that.
But I don't know why I just lost my train of thought on what I was gonna say. which sucks because it was a really good point. But if it comes back to me, we'll talk about it in another video, I guess. Let us know what you guys think about Oregon down below. As always, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single upload. We're going to do the Clemson Tigers next week, and then we'll do Ohio State after that. So please let us know other teams you guys want us to preview as well. The college football video game comes out in 3 weeks from today.
Yes, man,
so
I'm so excited
about that as well. But thank you guys so much. And if you have not joined us, like I said, subscribe, like the video, comment down below. We will see you guys in 2 days. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.